been able to generate over 6 figures in revenue for my agency business, and I want to share with you today the 3 biggest lessons that I learned throughout this journey. So without any more time wasted, let me get straight into it. Now, I've met a lot of people running agencies, coaching business, whatever business it is. Some do cold outreach, some offer Facebook ads, some do content, some businesses preach against others, and some preach against others. But what I've learned is everything works. It just depends what is the best vehicle to go in and what best suits you. Now, for example, my first ever agency that I run was a Facebook ad agency to e-com brands. And ultimately, I was sending 1,000 cold emails a week. And that business failed because after team payments, after cold outreach payments, I just couldn't afford to keep running the business, and it eventually failed. I also know agencies doing 30K a month with Facebook ads. So what we have to understand is everything that you're told works to a certain degree. Now, do I believe that maybe that has a cap? Yes, but is it a vehicle that can work if you leverage it right, if you become good at it, if you use it in the right way? Can it work? Yes, and this is obviously the same for other stuff such as cold outreach. I say a lot that cold outreach isn't the best way, and it isn't, right? If you do the maths, if you listen to anyone that has ever done it before, it's not the best way to scale, but it still can work. You can still take yourself to 10, maybe 20, maybe 30K a month. It's just going to be harder and probably longer to do that, just because when you really sit down and think about the maths behind it, it doesn't make too much sense. But if that's the vehicle that you want to use and you want to leverage going down that path, then go and use it, right? Do whatever you think's best, and after a while, once you try it, you can either say, look, okay, I'm not going to try that again. Through personal experience, that doesn't work for me. I don't like it. It's probably not the best vehicle for me to use. And then you can try other vehicles and say, okay, maybe this one is the best one. And only through sort of trial and error going through, you're going to find what actually works. So step 1 for me is everything works. It's just what works the best for you and your agency, and what vehicle do you want to take to go and get there. Now, again, when starting my agency, I used to watch some of the biggest creators, probably like yourself, wondering what the best outreach method was, the best niche, the best offers, and I would just blindly follow any information that I was given. I would never test it. I would never see the data behind it. I would never even sort of sit and think, okay, does that make sense for me, maybe in my current situation with my business? Does it just make sense in the long run of me trying to run? Because everyone has a different business to each other, right? Different paths are going to work, different leverage assets are going to work, right? The framework you can always sort of have the same, but maybe you get lucky here and you land a client that you can leverage and you can scale even further. It's just everyone has a different path that they go down, but the information can always sort of be the same, which means if you just follow the same information as everyone else, or from someone that's done it before you, but you just blindly follow that and don't sort of adapt it to yourselves, which is definitely a key takeaway, you're going to fail, because you're trying to follow another career path where they may have got lucky here, they may have done this here, something may have happened here that you can't even replicate, because a business is a random sort of game. You can put the inputs in, but if nothing's going to happen off the back of it, then you can't really do much about it, right? You can only focus on the inputs that you put in, what you actually do, and where it can take you, right? So them different parts definitely take value, definitely take information, otherwise you're never going to be able to learn anything. But make sure you're thinking before you take action, making sure you're not blindly following what people are saying to you, making sure that it's even relevant information for you today, right? If you watch a video back in 2019, maybe that probably isn't the best video for you to be watching. The information's probably outdated. The stuff that worked then probably doesn't work now, and that's just with any industry. So if you are going to follow information, make sure you think about it, make sure you even just trial it before you go fully in and say, okay, this is my outreach method forever now, this is what I'm going to use. Split test what works. Okay, this works better than this. Use data and stuff like that to just refine your processes, to just make sure, okay, that makes sense, this is working, let me run with this. Okay, because advice may be completely true, there may be a few tweaks that you need to do just to make sure that you're not going sort of down a dead end path and sort of going broke. So that is my second piece of advice when coming into the game. Even if you don't know too much, don't take everything for face value, and don't just blindly follow everything. Okay, this can be your cold outreach, your offer, your niche. Think about it before. You can try stuff, you can test stuff, you can ultimately fail stuff and even come back from it a lot better, having learned your lessons, which is always great. And you're never going to get anywhere in business without any failure. So making sure that we're not just taking stuff for blind value, we're not just following like a sheep, because people can't just build your business. You have to build it yourself. So if you're not going in the trenches, not understanding what works, not building something out yourself, and you're just relying on another person who probably doesn't really care about your agency, they're just making the videos to make the videos, you're not going to make it very far, and your agency probably at some point could fail because it's built on a very, very weak backbone. And now going on to number 3, and this is definitely the most important part and lesson that I've learned making 6 figures at 18 is service delivery, right? When I first started, I know my service delivery was awful. I just hired a media buyer from Upwork. I think his name was Steve. I have an interview. I have a picture of me hiring him. I'll put it up here somewhere. But yeah, we hired him to be our media buyer. Now he is good at media buying, that's what he does, right? But we didn't give him the right systems, right? We didn't give him the right processes because we didn't really know what we were doing. Our only goal was get a client, which is great, right? If you don't get clients through the door, you can't test anything, you can't see anything. So I'm not saying don't get clients, I'm saying you need a more trusted and reliable service delivery to make sure you get the best results. Because when word starts getting about that you can't even deliver for your agency, there's no results, but you've signed clients, you're getting bad reviews, you're getting people asking for a refund, a lot of times in your niche it can be spread around like, don't go to this person here, and it can kind of like blackball you from the market, blackball you from your niche if you're just being pretty much a scammer on what you're doing. So what I would recommend, if you don't understand service delivery at all, and this is what I wish I did, what you want to do is plan out the process and what makes sense. Okay, so you sort of get where a client would be, and then you put where you want them to get at the end, so maybe your offer or guarantee, and fill out the steps in between. So okay, we're going to place this team member here, we're going to do this here, we're going to make them do this here, sort of build out a roadmap step by step on what would make sense for them to get to a certain point. Now what I do after this is onboard people for free or on a pay off results basis. So let's say you book an appointment, you take a certain percent of a booking fee. So what you want to do from here is see what makes sense. So you could say, okay, at step 26 I planned out, they need this extra, they need this sales asset, they need this to be dialed in, whatever it is, you can then understand, okay, let me do this. So when you do have them retainer clients charging 3, 4, 5, 6, and even sometimes paying full deals for like 10 or 15k, you're not going to have a very unhappy customer, which could lead to a bad relationship and a bad look on your agency from people looking in. Rather, what we would love to have, and what we had, especially running our content agency when we were at like sort of 15k a month, we had one client who just referred us to everyone. Okay, that's how we signed plumbing clients, injury law firms, solar clients, whatever it was. We had a very big referral basis because our service was just so good that people were like, oh, why wouldn't I go with this person? People were referring, no, oh, I've got a guy for this, and they'd always come to us, which is why not only you can increase your cash flow just off the back of referrals and how good your actual service is, you build undeniable sales assets, right? You can probably see on my channel, or if you go on my Instagram, if you just scroll through some of the client results, you can see, okay, this actually works. I'm not just another sort of scammer or doing something like that. I run an actual agency that gets actual results because there's a system and back end that I've built out over time. I've understand, okay, this doesn't work, this does work. And you can see the clients are going from 0 to 20k. You can see clients landed 14k deals. You can see clients going from 0 to 10. You can see so many results on there you can then buy into. And trust me, right, if someone was looking to buy into my service, someone would say, okay, you know what, this guy's trustworthy, he has a lot of sales assets, people have given him testimonials, he's been referred by other people, people are literally getting on client interviews and saying, look, join this now, testimonials, whatever it is. Because we have that and we focused on service delivery the most, even tomorrow if I stopped my marketing, my cold outbound, yes, our revenue would drop a little bit, but we would still have referrals, we'd still be able to upsell current clients that know this works the best, and there would always be cash flow just because we've built the best service delivery. Instead of focusing on getting new clients through the door, we've focused on existing clients who can get us new clients through the door, and also we can increase their value by obviously upselling them on certain stuff, certain packages, whatever it is. We can then make even more money and also just have an easier life, right? I don't know if you've been in the situation yet, but when you have an unhappy customer, it's definitely not a nice time to sort of be there. You sort of want to quit the whole business model. It's definitely not nice to have. So making sure you're just doing your due diligence, you put the work in, you make sure everything's planned out to get the best service delivery for your clients. So again, they can give you testimonials, you can have the best results, you can start scaling. And if, let's say, you do send a cold outbound to someone and they're like, oh, but what proof do you have? You can send amazing results, you can blow them away, you can add it to your sales presentation. So there's less objections, it's easier to close calls, it's easier to book, all because you focused on what actually kind of matters when running an agency, the service delivery part. And that's what I've sort of found out the best. A lot of people at sort of my age do go into sort of maybe the little courses or something like that and just scam their audience. You'll see the highlights. They don't have many results or testimonials or interviews with people. but we do because we focus on that the most, because it will build a sustainable business for me to keep going back to, right? So I'd recommend that as my third tip as generating 100K at 18 years old, is focus on service delivery. So let's do a quick overview. The first one and first lesson that I learned is making sure that every vehicle does work. It's just what one works best for you. Number two is not just following advice blindly and going for it just because someone else said it that is in a better position. Understand it, try it out, test it, see if it actually makes sense and see if it works for you, and then go from there. And then number three, obviously the most important, focus on your service delivery. Make sure that every one of your clients is getting the best results. In return, you will reap the rewards. But apart from that, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, if you can drop a like and subscribe. There's a few links down below on how you can guarantee 15+ appointments, my Instagram, and then a free Discord if you want to connect with other agency owners. But apart from that, I'll see you guys soon. Peace.